This was one of the longest trips I've ever had. I don't know if everybody was like calling all dogs, calling all toddlers, calling all what, just bring them all, come one, come all. It's a buy one, get one.
This is On Call.
Wow, this would be really cool to just wear scrubs all the time. Then you don't have to think about what you're going to wear to work.
That's awesome.
We're here to answer your questions.
We can sit down and discuss all. Wait, I gotta go. I'm on call.
Wait, you're on call? I thought I was on call. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of On Call with April and Alicia. I'm Alicia.
I'm April.
And we're happy to have you guys back. So, April, how are you today?
I'm good.
What's new?
What's new? Not much. We have another soccer tournament coming up this weekend. The weather is actually better. So Sunday we're supposed to be in the 80s. But Saturday I think we have a high of like 60. So
nice weather, no rain on the turf. How'd that one go?
Oh, we were soaking wet. It was terrible.
Ew.
It was so cold. We had like a 4-hour break in between games the first day, and so we came home and dried our clothes to go back and actually warmed up. It was terrible.
I'm not
committed. We didn't play that well either because it was just not great. So hopefully this one goes better. We'll see.
I'm not that committed. I just think I'd say like, hey, don't you feel like your stomach hurts today? I think your stomach hurts today.
Well, I mean,
I swear you said your stomach
not
hurt.
me.
Did
I'm one of the
Did
coaches.
you just cough? Yeah. I cough too. We're both coughing. We should respect our community and not go to soccer today. I have to tell you something funny. I went to work clinically this weekend at one of our sites, and it's about 3 hours from where I live, and I have to stay in a hotel. And I usually have just like a really decent hotel experience.
Uh-oh.
This was one of the longest trips I've ever had. I don't know if everybody was like calling all dogs, calling all toddlers, calling all what, just bring them all, come one, come all. It's a buy one, get one. I don't know what happened, but I had a dog, and I have audio, that constantly barked in the room that was to the right of me. So I would get in, I worked this 9 to 9 shifts, 9, 8, and 9 p. Get in, I have to be at 9 the next morning, but I thought, oh, just like kind of relaxing. There's like a river in my window that I can let, nature.
All night long?
Constantly. And all night, and I'm like, where are your owners? First of all, do I need to call the SPCA? Do I get involved? And I started thinking all these things that they'd be in this, but I'm just trying to sleep. Then on top of me are like this, I don't know if you can hear like this, like footsteps, like running either kids, adults, somebody I swear that only walks on their heels, just through the entire hotel. And it was like the first night I was like, okay, maybe it's like a family reunion. There are a ton of people at this hotel. Usually I work at this site a couple times and there's not that many people, but this time it was packed. So I was like, well, it's a reunion. It's something. People are excited. I'd have some grace. It was not, I just popped both AirPods in, put them in like the, what is that, noise cancellation mode, and was like, I just go to sleep. But it's not great to sleep in AirPods, so I don't recommend that. The next night though, I was having thoughts about the podcast. Like, I want to get up, but I'm so tired, but I want to get up and record, or I want to just like reach over and grab my phone and start recording because no one would ever believe that this is occurring. Because if it wasn't the dog, it was the feet upstairs. And I would look at and then that was a Saturday night that my room was right outside of the elevator. So everybody coming off of the elevator, I could hear,
yeah.
but they are like splitting hallways and yelling at each other. And it was like so loud. And I'm like, it's 2 a.m. Why are you guys yelling? I have never had.
Probably had a couple drinks.
What is the test that's going on right now? Because I am completely overstimulated. So yeah, I'll include the barking dog at the end, but just constant. I woke up Sunday morning, headed out for the shift, and the dog started barking, and I was like, we get it. Stopped at the desk and just said, hey, I don't know what's happening next door, but there's this
I'm
dog that's
surprised you
been
didn't
barking
ask
all
for
night.
like a new room.
All right, so here's my would you rather. I wanted to, first of all, hold on, let me back that up. I wanted to ask for a new room, but I was so tired. And all I could think was, I'm going to have to pack up all my stuff. It's not like I bring a ton, but I got a suitcase. My stuff's in the bathroom. And It's probably, I don't know, midnight, 1 a.m. I go down there to wait for them to have the room ready and then and it was just like, whatever, this is like first world problems. Get through it. It'll be fine. But in the future, I'm going to try to be more mindful. But then I was thinking, if I could have eliminated one, which one would I buy eliminated? Which one would have made it? And I really don't know. Would you rather, April Burke, would you rather have a barking dog next to you all night or
Mm.
constant thumping and heel walking on top of you?
Ah, that's a
Hmm.
good question. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I might choose the heel walking because I
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, Baxter doesn't bark a lot, but when he does, it's really annoying because
If they
it's
don't
so
stop, it's a
loud.
nonstop. It was a
Yeah.
non, I mean, well, I won't say it was nonstop. It would be like periods of 5 minutes and maybe gone for what felt like 10. And then it would start. And then it would, and I would think, is there no, there's no one here? Who brings a dog to a hotel and then leaves their dog in the
Yeah, well, I
hotel?
was surprised when you said that there was dogs, but I guess some hotels do allow dogs now.
This is my second round. The first round, there were dogs upstairs, had like above me the weekend I worked previous. And I thought it was like little kids running around. And then I realized probably in the middle of the night, like, "Ah, that has to be dogs. That's too many legs running like too fast." And it was. I actually ran into them as I was going to work. Strawberry was one of their names. They're like these huge, like labradoodles. If they were on steroids, I don't know what kind of dog that would be, um, but that was like one night and it was fine. But I was like, I don't know which one's worse. I really don't.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah. And then when they're upstairs, you kind of go, huh, what are they doing? Why are
Yeah,
you like, where it's 2 a.m. Where are you walking to? Those are the questions. I have. Where are you going? And what's
that's
wrong
true.
with your gait? Why can you only walk on your heels? Why do you sound like Great Babe? It just sounds like Great Babe.
And that's like
Uh,
late for kids to be up walking around, but I mean,
I don't think
just so you know,
they
when we
can.
travel, our kids are up late.
Yeah, I'm sure that
But
everybody could probably share some crazy stories around what they've heard in hotels. But my would you rather for the entire listening audience is, would you rather, audience, have a dog that's barking constantly in your hotel room next to you, or have heavy grape ape walking for the entire night? Pick one, share it with us on our Instagram page,
yeah,
share it
I'm
with us
interested
on
to see what
DMs,
people
send it to
say.
us, let us know. Yeah, we'll put up a poll. Maybe we'll do that on Instagram. We'll put up a poll. Make sure you follow us there, and we'll see the results. We'll have our team put up a poll. I think that'd be cool.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
No hotel stories for you, huh?
No, but when you mentioned having to switch rooms, that kind of made me think of we had one time where we had to switch rooms at midnight because our older one threw up all over the bed. She had like a migraine and the little one slept through
Oh.
it right next to her and it smelled so awful that I was like, we cannot do this tonight. We cannot be in here. And so my husband went down and was like, my daughter just threw up all over the room. What do you want us to do? And the guy's like, I'll just move you down the hall. So at midnight, we're like packing up everything, like taking this
Oh.
sick kid. And then and I don't normally, like, I can normally handle things like, vomit
Yeah.
and things. And I said to my husband, I said, well, what did he say to do with this? This beautiful white comforter that is now full of vomit. And he said, the guy said, just leave it. And I was like, he
Yeah,
said
don't
this,
worry, they bleach
like, leave
everything.
this. And he was like, yeah, yeah, for the morning people. I was like, I cannot leave. Like, it was so foul. And so I'm in the
Mm.
bathroom trying to like rinse it off in the bathtub and just about puking myself because
Ugh.
I just couldn't leave it. Like, it was so bad. But we did successfully move, but it was a pain in the rear end at midnight with two
Could you
kids and all
imagine?
of our things.
I
Yeah.
was just throwing it out the window. It's a
Yeah.
wrap.
But it was one of
Never
those
touch that.
when she used to throw up, she would like cough like two or three times and then
Mhm.
and so we're like laying in bed and I hear one cough and I was like, uh-oh. And he's like, it's fine. It's just one cough. And then there was the second
Here
cough and
comes
I was
number
like, it
two.
is not fine. We're we are full puking right now. So
Ew.
yeah,
Okay,
it
well,
was
I'd
funny to tell
definitely
the
rather have a
story.
barking dog.
Then the vomit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not part of our would you rather, but give me the barking dog and the people walking on top of me. I just don't want to move at midnight. I
Yeah, it was a
just don't want to
pain.
move at midnight, and I don't
That
like
was a
puke.
no-brainer. We had to. There was no way we could not. So
Yeah. Well, I like lighthearted conversation, especially I know we had kind of a heavy subject last week and or on our last episode. One thing April and I were really committed to is we wanted to make sure that we did finish this conversation. Our intention was to have the conversation just around, sharing personal experience and having a dialogue around that, but then also solution. But we thought it would be best to maybe do a separate episode for solution for mental health, not cure, but how do we preserve and how do we maybe help improve our mental health in this profession. So I don't know, April, what are your thoughts here? If we just started talking about solution, we talked about patients that are, situations where we maybe I'll say I had some panic attack and definitely some impact to my mental health. Obviously, the C word, COVID. I think we need to do bingo. I just started. We need to do it. We need to do a April and Alicia bingo card.
Bingo.
Every time we say COVID, put it on your bingo card. We're gonna do we're gonna do sayings that we say all the time, and then if our listener gets 5 in a row, then they win some gift from Sound. I don't know. We'll work that one out. But listener bingo, COVID was another thing that impacted mental health for many of us. But I'd like to move into more of a positive of that conversation and what are things we do and can do, or as leaders that we can support our teams, or as colleagues that we can do to support our peer that we can do, or for ourselves to support ourselves. What are some solutions
Yeah, so I think
or
there's a
tips?
lot of things that we can do to kind of, I guess we should say, preserve our mental health, right? So how can we kind of take care of ourselves so that we do that? And one thing overall, and we hear this in so many different lanes for so many different reasons, but really healthy lifestyle habits really
Mm-hmm.
goes a long way with this. And I don't think, I mean, of course, we always talk about exercise, taking the
Mm-hmm.
time to stress release by running or walking or yoga or going to the gym or whatever it is. But I think that people also forget how much our diet plays a role into that.
Yeah.
So, if you're eating a bunch of, preserved food and kind of on the go meals and not really sustaining a good, healthy diet, it actually impacts you more than you think in so many aspects of your life. And this is one of them. If you're
Right.
not well nutritioned, it can impact the way that you react to stressful situations and just your overall health and ability to deal with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think just to kind of piggyback off of that, if we take it into the workplace, that's also opportunities for employers to offer better options
Yeah.
for our staff. I am guilty. I did this thing this weekend of just wanting something maybe that wasn't healthy, like a mozzarella stick. And
It's a very random
the
thing.
site that I'm working at is part of a larger system that has taken this initiative to get away from unhealthy eating, not just for the hospital staff, but for the patients as well. So it's everywhere. It's like vending machines full of smart ones, like frozen meals and all these things. You can't find a soda in the place unless you go to a different part of the hospital, and or chips and things and whatever. So even the doc lounge has been
Yeah.
revamped, which has not made the staff very happy. So the one thing I found, I was like, oh, this is I re- I'm just going to take one of the string cheeses and put it in the microwave. And it's amazing. I do recommend
You put it
everybody
in the
try it.
microwave? Like
I
for what
did. I
purpose?
took a string cheese, like you would peel it, because I wanted
Uh-huh.
a mozzarella stick. It was just what
Oh, I
sounded. I was
see.
like, how do I? Oh, I could. What would this be like in a microwave? So I just took the string cheese out of this its package and put it on their plate and put it in for 30 seconds. You got to eat it fast because it becomes rubber. It's probably not good for you. It
That does
does for
not
a
sound
moment taste
appetizing
like
in
a
the least
string
bit.
cheese. But
Okay.
yes, the workplace is a great place to begin this, especially for what we do. And the other part is something we talked about last week. And all jokes aside, we talked about codes, right? We talked about
Yeah.
whether it was a successful code or what we believe or perceived as unsuccessful. But the debriefing, I think, our workplace, and that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the hospital partner. It could be, if it's hospital medicine, maybe it's the medical director that is forefronting the initiative. Maybe we as sound do that for our teams, but whatever the culture is at the site, debriefing and really like allowing an opportunity for people to just express their feelings. There's so many times that I've had situations where it's been just really great. We made a joke last week around how, we talk to, maybe we come home, talk to your spouse, talk to your family, whatever, and you get really frustrated because you've got to like fill in all the gaps first before we give them all the information and food for thought before they can relate. And they'll never relate. But when you can have somebody like you and I connect, and I say, I have this horrible thing that happened, that you can go, I understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes just the I understand, but not that it's like, I understand because this happened to me and this is how I dealt, or yes, this happened to me too. It's just like validation. I do think like in these code debriefings and ones that I've been a part of, it's, oh, you felt that too? Because I thought there was something wrong with me, that I
Oh
thought
yeah.
this was horrible, even though the outcome was good. Like this felt really bad to me. So it's nice to know, like it also then you like build team rapport, but it is an outlet where we are also not trying to build machines and people that don't feel and make this just an expectation of the job. Just recognizing that this gig is stressful, and where this is almost like the like first line support. In my opinion, this is the very first step.
Yeah, agree. And I mean, like you said, validation goes a long way. Like I think of some of the newer, APPs that we hire that are new grads, and I talk to them and check in with them, and they just want to know that it's normal that when they leave, they replay the day in their their head and
Yes.
make sure that they did things. And I'm like, oh, that's completely normal. I mean, after 16 years, there's still days that I go home and I double check to make sure that I,
Hmm.
did all the things that I was supposed to do and didn't miss an order or whatever. So just knowing that it's normal to feel like that goes a long way, I think.
I think the other part, and something we didn't even address on the last episode, is we say when things go wrong, things go bad, things don't go the way we expect. What I learned after this last weekend was there's a patient I've been thinking about who, came in for a very benign nausea and vomiting, and we had to share some like really unfavorable news about her diagnosis. And that conversation for me, I remember I was her son was present. I sat with her next to the bedside, put my hand on her hand, and where I'm talking and I'm watching the panic, the fear that, the world come crashing down. This is not what I thought I was coming in to hear. And I remember at one point realized I wasn't even breathing. I was holding my own breath, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pass out. Like I'm going to pass out. But I was like, but I have to have this conversation. Patients deserve to know. They deserve to know even what we don't want to tell them, even if we don't have all the answers. I don't know what the I don't know what the end game is. This is the very beginning. But verbally out loud, I say to her as I'm holding her hand, "Whew, this is really hard for me, but I want you to know that you're important to me. So I'm like, I'm going to stick through this, and we're going to have this whole conversation, even if it's things that you think you don't want to hear. I don't ever, personally, I don't ever want a patient to feel like we withheld. We're making decisions,
Yeah.
right? But I've not stopped thinking about her
Yeah.
since it's
I
Thursday.
mean, which is normal for us,
I,
you know what I mean?
that's the one piece too. Like, and that's not so much of a debrief, but there's been a couple times this week where I thought I just maybe wanted to reach out to one of my peer and say, I got to tell you about this patient. And I ended up doing it because I was like, I almost just have to feel like, did I do the right thing by telling her everything? Like, I feel like I was too honest and it wasn't blunt, but it was just
No, I don't think there's,
what it
I mean, you
was. But
have to be
I don't
honest.
stop thinking about her.
Yeah.
How's she doing? What's going on? So I think just facilitating, good support in our environments. If Tiffany mentioned way back on one of our episodes during her stream month about having, like, she says work bestie, but the work friend that you can download as long as you don't keep each other stuck, but the person that's going to validate. And I think ultimately at the end of it, this is what we want. But you can't deal with some of these issues without it affecting you. And if it doesn't, I don't want you to work for me. Really. I don't
Yeah.
I don't want you to take care of me personally. I certainly don't want you to work for me if this is Teflon to you.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the other things that we haven't talked about much yet is it's okay to do things for yourself. Right? Take the time to
Yep.
find something that you enjoy and do it for yourself. And it's hard when you have work and you have kids and you have all these things to do. But one of the most fun things I did over the years, which kind of put me out of my comfort zone for a little bit, was I was on a part of a women's softball team. I hadn't played softball since like high school, and so I joined this team, and we would just go and we would play, and the whole families would come, and after we were done, we would hang out, and the kids would play kickball, and it was just such a fun time to get away and do something for ourselves and connect with friends, and just have very lighthearted. I mean, we used to laugh at each other all the time. I remember
Mhm.
the first time I went up to bat, I told one of the husbands was our coach, and he's like, "You're right," and I was like, I think I might throw up." And he said to me,
This is run in the family.
my only advice to you is to hold your hair back."
And don't be in a hotel room where you have to move at midnight, right?
Yes, right.
But yeah. Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
was
I'm
so
with you.
fun. I mean, we did it every Thursday, and it was just a way to relieve stress and do something for ourselves
Let me
and
ask you a
rejuvenate
question.
ourselves.
Think of it's hard to think about your beginnings, but even you say 16 years experience, what could we do in our hospital settings, support our teams, I guess maybe to promote help seeking behaviors? How do we get our teams, or what environment do we need to create for our teams to allow them to facilitate their own not treatment, but support? Do you know what I'm saying? The how do we create that environment to make that comfortable for someone to come forward and say, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this case or this code or this event that maybe was completely benign that, as a medical director, you didn't know." What are things as leaders we can do to promote that type of an environment?
I think it goes back to, well, one, if you have resources, making sure that they know they're available and how do they access them. At Sound, we have them. At my hospital, we have them. And so making sure that they know that they're available. But I think in terms of a leadership perspective, I think it goes back to creating an environment with your team where you
Mhm.
are also, obviously you're their leader, but you're colleagues and you're also can be friends, and so creating that open door and open communication policy with them and getting to know them a little bit so that they do feel comfortable with you. If in my opinion, if there's a leader who always has their door closed, doesn't eat
Mhm.
lunch with the team, doesn't talk to us about life outside of work, those things, which I fortunately have actually never had a leader like that. All of my leaders have always been open door policy and would grab a plate and have lunch with us in the office. And I think that that just creates an open environment where they feel okay, to go and say,
Right.
"Hey, like, can we talk about this?" Or, "Can I get your advice?" And I think that that's what starts that.
I think there was a comment you made a couple episodes ago. We were doing the work life integration, and you were talking about, hey, like I used to meet with my team for lunch, and we would not talk about like we would completely disengage and not talk about patients. This is
Yeah.
the one area where I do think talking about patients with your team is important,
Yeah.
because it does. I keep saying the word, okay, here's my bingo card word for the day: validate. Um, it does validate your experience. I can remember in the very early stages, just lunches, and maybe there was some benign conversation, or talk about the family, but if somebody was struggling at the table, we didn't create this environment to say, like, we're not talking about your patient today. We're, this is lunch and this is off. You let them vent. Or, hey, like, I got to pick your brain about this. I really don't know what's going to, or this really bothered me, or this was horrific, and it's like sitting across from that, I was like, I felt the vulnerability. And then I also felt comfortable, like, oh, well, this person now I can identify with. They're willing to speak up. So I know if I have an issue, I can talk to this
Yeah.
person. And slowly over time, everybody else would chip in, and it wouldn't be a whole conversation about patients all the time, but maybe just enough that you did create that vulnerable space. One, to be able to relate, but two, also maybe to get information or get, feedback on how to deal. So I would say that would be one thing. I know because we did mention like disconnect fully. Sometimes you got to do the download.
Yeah. Yeah. And we would do that, I feel like, all day long. Right.
Yeah.
And when somebody came in with a tough case, we would talk to whoever was there. But
Yeah.
yes, you do need that avenue to do that.
Yeah. Which is, maybe it's not even at work. Maybe it's other connections, other outlets, other, groups, or, like with sound, we have a ton of different subsets of groups where you can tap into, using using peer that are outside of your hospital system, a therapist, even if that's what you need, all of it. I just think human connection. I don't know. There's something more healing about that to me than anything like we could read in a self-help book to help us get through it on our own.
I agree.
I
agree. Yeah. And one other thing I'll mention too is just taking the time to be mindful of it. So, for example, sometimes when we go into meetings in my hospital, we'll have like a mindfulness minute and we'll just sort of like everybody's quiet and we just take a minute to like reset our brains and, because there's likely 10,000 other thoughts in your head at the time, and clear your head so that you can focus on what you're doing at that time. Because I think if you don't do that, then you're just constantly running in 10 different directions in your head. So taking the time to be mindful, and we've talked about this before, coming home from a rough day and taking a few minutes to ourselves before we walk in the door. But doing that's okay to do it during the day too, right? Like if you have a patient and it's been a tough conversation, but you have to go on to the next patient or you have to go into a meeting or whatever it is, it's okay to take that minute or two to just reset and be mindful and say, okay, that was rough and I need to process that, but I also need to move on to my next task. So
that's actually a really good point, April. You mentioned that patient. I took my AirPods with me, and I always have them in my pocket. If I'm charting by myself or whatever, I'll pop something in. But maybe I just am naturally doing because it's how I reset in between. I'll pop music on. I just one ear in, can still hear, do whatever. I don't take them into patients' rooms. I don't, talk to nurses with them in my ear, but I do feel like that is my, not escape, but that is my meditation. Whether it's a podcast I'm listening to, whether it's music or something to kind of level set, but I keep it right in my right pocket and I walk out of there, especially if it's a little bit more of a challenging conversation. It's like I pop it right in and I go to a space where I can just kind of, level set, get my mind right.
Right. Because that next patient deserves your full attention too. And there's no way that you can manage all of those things all at once. So you need to take time to deal with one or manage one and then move on to the next thing. So,
and as with everything in our podcast so far, we're always like, we could probably talk about this forever. But we can't. So would love to hear people's feedback on this topic, or what are you guys doing in your hospital settings to debrief, separate, help preserve your mental health, or even help improve it? What are some things that you're doing? And I'd love to share that. I think that's a really great platform. It's something we can do, even whether it's Instagram or through our sound portals. I would just love that feedback. So if you have it, please, share it with us. April, tell them our handles.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at oncallpodcast@soundphysicians.com, or we're on Instagram at OnCall with April and Alicia.
And make sure if you come on Instagram that you follow us, not just troll our page, just follow us too. Give us a little follow. You can follow us on Spotify too. And I believe SoundCloud. We've a couple, anywhere where you can find a podcast, that's where we are. But we'd love for you to like, subscribe and follow, and and join us in the discussion.
Until next time, you guys stay well and we'll stay on call. Bye, everyone.
Take care, guys.